Jeremiah chapters 45 through 52 of the Holy Bible American Standard Version. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 45. The word that Jeremiah the prophet spake unto Baruch the son of Neriah, when he wrote these words in a book at the mouth of Jeremiah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah king of Judah, saying, Thus saith Jehovah the God of Israel unto thee, O Baruch. Thou didst say, Woe is me now, for Jehovah hath added sorrow to my pain. I am weary with my groaning, and I find no rest. Thus shalt thou say unto him, Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, that which I have built will I break down, and that which I have planted I will pluck up, and this in the whole land. And seekest thou great things for thyself? Seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh, saith Jehovah. But thy life will I give unto thee for a prey in all places whither thou goest. End of chapter 45. Chapter 46. The word of Jehovah which came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning the nations of Egypt, concerning the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, which Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon smote in the 4th year of Jehoiakim the son of Josiah king of Judah. Prepare ye the buckler and shield, and draw near to battle. Harness the horses, and get up, ye horsemen, and stand forth with your helmets. Furbish the spears, put on the coats of mail. Wherefore have I seen it? They are dismayed, and are turned backward, and their mighty ones are beaten down, and are fled apace, and look not back. Terror is on every side, saith Jehovah. Let not the swift flee away, nor the mighty man escape. In the north by the river Euphrates have they stumbled and fallen. Who is this that riseth up like the Nile, whose waters toss themselves like the rivers? Egypt riseth up like the Nile, and his waters toss themselves like the rivers. And he saith, I will rise up, I will cover the earth, I will destroy cities and the inhabitants thereof. Go up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and let the mighty men go forth. Cush and Put, that handle the shield, and the Lubim, that handle and bend the bow. For that day is a day of the Lord, Jehovah of hosts, a day of vengeance, that he may avenge him of his adversaries. And the sword shall devour and be satiate, and shall drink its fill of their blood. For the Lord Jehovah of hosts hath a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. Go up into Gilead, and take balm, O virgin daughter of Egypt. In vain dost thou use many medicines, there is no healing for thee. The nations have heard of thy shame, and the earth is full of thy cry. For the mighty man hath stumbled against the mighty, they are fallen both of them together. The word that Jehovah spake to Jeremiah the prophet, how that Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon should come and smite the land of Egypt. Declare ye in Egypt, and publish in Migdol, and publish in Memphis, and in Tahpanhes. Say ye, Stand forth and prepare thee, for the sword hath devoured round about thee. Why are thy strong ones swept away? They stood not, because Jehovah did drive them. He made many to stumble, Yea, they fell one upon another, and they said, Arise, and let us go again to our own people, and to the land of our nativity, from the oppressing sword. They cried there, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, is but a noise. He hath let the appointed time pass by. As I live, saith the King, whose name is Jehovah of hosts, surely like Tabor among the mountains, and like Carmel by the sea, so shall he come. O thou daughter that dwellest in Egypt, furnish thyself to go into captivity, for Memphis shall become a desolation, and shall be burnt up without inhabitant. Egypt is a very fair heifer, but destruction out of the north is come, it is come. Also her hired men in the midst of her are like calves of the stall, for they also are turned back, they are fled away together, they did not stand. For the day of their calamity is come upon them, the time of their visitation. The sound thereof shall go like the serpent, for they shall march with an army, and come against her with axes, as hewers of wood. They shall cut down her forest, saith Jehovah, though it cannot be searched, because they are more than the locusts, and are innumerable. The daughter of Egypt shall be put to shame, she shall be delivered into the hand of the people of the north. Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, saith, Behold, I will punish Ammon of No, and Pharaoh and Egypt with her gods and her kings, even Pharaoh and them that trust in him. And I will deliver them into the hand of those that seek their lives, and into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants. And afterwards it shall be inhabited, as in the days of old, saith Jehovah. But fear not thou, O Jacob my servant, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be quiet and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. Fear not thou, O Jacob my servant, saith Jehovah, for I am with thee. For I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will in no wise leave thee unpunished. End of chapter 46. Chapter 47. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning the Philistines before that Pharaoh smote Gaza. Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall become an overflowing stream, and shall overflow the land and all that is therein, the city and them that dwell therein. And the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall wail. At the noise of the stamping of the hoofs of his strong ones, at the rushing of his chariots, at the rumbling of his wheels, the fathers look not back to their children for feebleness of hands. Because of the day that cometh to destroy all the Philistines, to cut off from Tyre and Sidon every helper that remaineth. For Jehovah will destroy the Philistines, the remnant of the isle of Caphtor. Baldness is come upon Gaza, Ashkelon is brought to naught, the remnant of their valley. How long wilt thou cut thyself? O thou sword of Jehovah, how long will it be ere thou be quiet? Put up thyself into thy scabbard, rest and be still. How canst thou be quiet, seeing Jehovah hath given thee a charge? Against Ashkelon and against the seashore, there hath he appointed it. End of chapter 47. Chapter 48. Of Moab. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, Woe unto Nebo, for it is laid waste. Kiriathaim is put to shame, it is taken. Misgab is put to shame and broken down. The praise of Moab is no more. In Heshbon they have devised evil against her. Come and let us cut her off from being a nation. Thou also, O madman, shalt be brought to silence. The sword shall pursue thee. The sound of a cry from Horonaim, desolation and great destruction. Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For by the ascent of Luhith with continual weeping shall they go up. For at the descent of Horonaim they have heard the distress of the cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou also shalt be taken. And Chemosh shall go forth into captivity, his priests and his princes together. And the destroyer shall come upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed, as Jehovah hath spoken. Give wings unto Moab, that she may fly and get her away, and her cities shall become a desolation without any to dwell therein. Cursed be he that doeth the work of Jehovah negligently, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. Moab hath been at ease from his youth, and he hath settled on his lees, and hath not been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither hath he gone into captivity. Therefore his taste remaineth in him, and his scent is not changed. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will send unto him them that pour off, and they shall pour him off, and they shall empty his vessels, and break their bottles in pieces. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their confidence. How say ye, We are mighty men, and valiant men for the war? Moab is laid waste, and they are gone up into his cities, and his chosen young men are gone down to the slaughter, saith the King, whose name is Jehovah of hosts. The calamity of Moab is near to come, and his affliction hasteth fast. All ye that are round about him, bemoan him, and all ye that know his name, say, How is the strong staff broken, the beautiful rod? O thou daughter that dwellest in Dibon, come down from thy glory, and sit in thirst. For the destroyer of Moab is come up against thee, he hath destroyed thy strongholds. O inhabitant of Aroer, stand by the way and watch. Ask him that fleeth and her that escapeth, say, What hath been done? Moab is put to shame, for it is broken down. Wail and cry. Tell ye it by the Arnon, that Moab is laid waste. And judgment is come upon the plain country, upon Holon, and upon Jaza, and upon Mephaeth, and upon Dibon, and upon Nebo, and upon Beth-Diblathaim, and upon Kiriathaim, and upon Beth-Gamel, and upon Beth-Meon, and upon Kerioth, and upon Bozrah, and upon all the cities of the land of Moab, far or near. The horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, saith Jehovah. Make ye him drunken, for he magnified himself against Jehovah, and Moab shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision. For was not Israel a derision unto thee? Was he found among thieves? For as often as thou speakest of him, thou waggest the head. O ye inhabitants of Moab, leave the cities, and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest over the mouth of the abyss. We have heard of the pride of Moab, that he is very proud, his loftiness and his pride, and his arrogancy, and the haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, saith Jehovah, that it is naught. His boastings have wrought nothing. Therefore will I wail for Moab, yea, I will cry out for all Moab. For the men of Kirheres shall they mourn. With more than the weeping of Jazer will I weep for thee, O vine of Sibmah. Thy branches passed over the sea, they reached even to the sea of Jazer. Upon thy summer fruits and upon thy vintage the destroyer is fallen. And gladness and joy is taken away from the fruitful field, and from the land of Moab. And I have caused wine to cease from the winepresses. None shall tread with shouting, the shouting shall be no shouting. From the cry of Heshbon even unto Elealeh, even unto Jahaz have they uttered their voice. From Zoar even unto Horonaim, to Eglath-Shalisha, for the waters of Nimrim also shall become desolate. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith Jehovah, him that offereth in the high place, and him that burneth incense to his gods. Therefore my heart soundeth for Moab like pipes, and my heart soundeth like pipes for the men of Kirheres. Therefore the abundance that he hath gotten is perished. For every head is bald, and every beard clipped. Upon all the hands are cuttings, and upon the loins sackcloth. On all the housetops of Moab, and in the streets thereof, there is lamentation everywhere. For I have broken Moab like a vessel wherein none delighteth, saith Jehovah. How is it broken down? How do they wail? How hath Moab turned the back with shame? So shall Moab become a derision and a terror to all that are round about him. For thus saith Jehovah, Behold, he shall fly as an eagle, and shall spread out his wings against Moab. Kerioth is taken, and the strongholds are seized, and the heart of the mighty men of Moab at that day shall be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he hath magnified himself against Jehovah. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, saith Jehovah. He that fleeth from the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that getteth up out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For I will bring upon him, even upon Moab, the year of their visitation, saith Jehovah. They that fled stand without strength under the shadow of Heshbon. For a fire is gone forth out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sihon, and hath devoured the corner of Moab, and the crown of the head of the tumultuous ones. Woe unto thee, O Moab! The people of Chemosh is undone, for thy sons are taken away captive, and thy daughters into captivity. Yet will I bring back the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Jehovah. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. End of chapter 48. Chapter 49. Of the children of Ammon. Thus saith Jehovah, Hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth Malcham possess Gad, and his people dwell in the cities thereof? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard against Rabbah of the children of Ammon. And it shall become a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel possess them that did possess him, saith Jehovah. Wail, O Heshbon, for Ai is laid waste. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro among the fences. For Malcham shall go into captivity, his priests and his princes together. Wherefore gloriest thou in the valleys, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that trusted in her treasures, saying, Who shall come unto me? Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Lord, Jehovah of hosts, from all that are round about thee. And ye shall be driven out every man right forth, and there shall be none to gather together the fugitives. But afterward I will bring back the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith Jehovah. Of Edom. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell in the depths, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I shall visit him. If grape-gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, would they not destroy till they had enough? But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is destroyed, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith Jehovah, Behold, they to whom it pertained not to drink of the cup shall assuredly drink. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink. For I have sworn by myself, saith Jehovah, that Bozrah shall become an astonishment, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. I have heard tidings from Jehovah, and an ambassador is sent among the nations, saying, Gather yourselves together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For behold, I have made thee small among the nations, and despised among men. As for thy terribleness, the pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Jehovah. And Edom shall become an astonishment, every one that passeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah, no man shall dwell there, neither shall any son of man sojourn therein. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the pride of the Jordan, against the strong habitation. For I will suddenly make them run away from it, and whoso is chosen, him will I appoint over it. For who is like me? And who will appoint me a time? And who is the shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of Jehovah, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely they shall drag them away, even the little ones of the flock. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate over them. The earth trembleth at the noise of their fall. There is a cry, the noise whereof is heard in the Red Sea. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread out his wings against Bozrah. And the heart of the mighty men of Edom at that day shall be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Of Damascus. Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings. They are melted away. There is sorrow on the sea, it cannot be quiet. Damascus is waxed feeble. She turneth herself to flee, and trembling hath seized on her. Anguish and sorrows have taken hold of her, as of a woman in travail. How is the city of praise not forsaken, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of war shall be brought to silence in that day, saith Jehovah of hosts. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall devour the palaces of Ben-Hadad. Of Kedar, and of the kingdoms of Hazor, which Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon smote. Thus saith Jehovah, Arise ye, go up to Kedar, and destroy the children of the east. Their tents and their flocks shall they take. They shall carry away for themselves their curtains, and all their vessels and their camels. And they shall cry unto them, Terror on every side. Flee ye, wander far off, dwell in the depths, O ye inhabitants of Hazor, saith Jehovah. For Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived a purpose against you. Arise, get you up unto a nation that is at ease, that dwelleth without care, saith Jehovah, that have neither gates nor bars, that dwell alone. And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil. And I will scatter unto all winds them that have the corners of their hair cut off, and I will bring their calamity from every side of them, saith Jehovah. And Hazor shall be a dwelling place of jackals, a desolation for ever. No man shall dwell there, neither shall any son of man sojourn therein. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah the prophet concerning Elam, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying, Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. And I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith Jehovah. And I will send the sword after them, till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence king and princes, saith Jehovah. But it shall come to pass in the latter days, that I will bring back the captivity of Elam, saith Jehovah. End of chapter 49. Chapter 50. The word that Jehovah spake concerning Babylon, concerning the land of the Chaldeans, by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is put to shame, Merodach is dismayed. Her images are put to shame, her idols are dismayed. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They are fled, they are gone, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together. They shall go on their way weeping, and shall seek Jehovah their God. They shall inquire concerning Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, Come ye, and join yourselves to Jehovah in an everlasting covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, We are not guilty, because they have sinned against Jehovah, the habitation of righteousness, even Jehovah, the hope of their fathers. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks. For lo, I will stir up and cause to come up against Babylon a company of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of an expert mighty man, none shall return in vain. And Chaldea shall be a prey, all that prey upon her shall be satisfied, saith Jehovah. Because ye are glad, because ye rejoice, O ye that plunder my heritage, because ye are wanton as a heifer that treadeth out the grain, and neigh as strong horses, your mother shall be utterly put to shame. She that bare you shall be confounded. Behold, she shall be the hindermost of the nations, a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of Jehovah she shall not be inhabited, but she shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished, and hiss at all her plagues. Set yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against Jehovah. Shout against her round about, she hath submitted herself, her bulwarks are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of Jehovah. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. Israel is a hunted sheep. The lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria devoured him, and now at last Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. Therefore thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel again to his pasture, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon the hills of Ephraim and in Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found, for I will pardon them whom I leave as a remnant. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, slay and utterly destroy after them, saith Jehovah, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Jehovah. Jehovah hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For the Lord Jehovah of hosts hath a work to do in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Jehovah our God, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon, all them that bend the bow, encamp against her round about. Let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she hath been proud against Jehovah, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in her streets, and all her men of war shall be brought to silence in that day, saith Jehovah. Behold, I am against thee, O thou proud one, saith the Lord, Jehovah of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the proud one shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all that are round about him. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah are oppressed together, and all that took them captive hold them fast. They refuse to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong, Jehovah of hosts is his name. He will thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the earth, and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Jehovah, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the boasters, and they shall become fools. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is a land of graven images, and they are mad over idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wolves shall dwell there, and the ostriches shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah, so shall no man dwell there, neither shall any son of man sojourn therein. Behold, a people cometh from the north, and a great nation and many kings shall be stirred up from the uttermost parts of the earth. They lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel, and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea, and they ride upon horses, every one set in array, as a man to the battle, against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon hath heard the tidings of them, and his hands wax feeble. Anguish hath taken hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Behold, the enemy shall come up like a lion from the pride of the Jordan against the strong habitation. For I will suddenly make them run away from it, and whoso is chosen, him will I appoint over it. For who is like me, and who will appoint me a time? And who is the shepherd that can stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of Jehovah that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely they shall drag them away, even the little ones of the flock. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate over them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon the earth trembleth, and the cry is heard among the nations. End of chapter 50. Chapter 51. Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in Leb-Chemi, a destroying wind. And I will send unto Babylon strangers that shall winnow her, and they shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his coat of mail. And spare ye not her young men. Destroy ye utterly all her host. And they shall fall down slain in the land of the Chaldeans, and thrust through in her streets. For Israel is not forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of Jehovah of hosts, though their land is full of guilt against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and save every man his life. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for it is the time of Jehovah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Jehovah's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunk of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Wail for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Jehovah hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of Jehovah our God. Make sharp the arrows, hold firm the shields. Jehovah hath stirred up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, because his purpose is against Babylon to destroy it. For it is the vengeance of Jehovah, the vengeance of his temple. Set up a standard against the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong, set the watchman, prepare the ambushes. For Jehovah hath both purposed and done that which he spake concerning the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, the measure of thy covetousness. Jehovah of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men, as with the canker worm, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and by his understanding hath he stretched out the heavens. When he uttereth his voice, there is a tumult of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapours to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings for the rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasuries. Every man is become brutish, and is without knowledge. Every goldsmith is put to shame by his image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, a work of delusion. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like these, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the tribe of his inheritance. Jehovah of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle-axe and weapons of war, and with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and him that rideth therein, and with thee will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces the old man and the youth, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the virgin, and with thee will I break in pieces the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces governors and deputies. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith Jehovah. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Jehovah, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate for ever, saith Jehovah. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Minai, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a marshal against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough canker-worm. Prepare against her the nations, the kings of the Medes, the governors thereof, and all the deputies thereof, and all the land of their dominion. And the land trembleth and is in pain, for the purposes of Jehovah against Babylon do stand, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They remain in their strongholds. Their might hath failed. They are become as women. Her dwelling places are set on fire. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken on every quarter. And the passages are seized, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor at the time when it is trodden. Yet a little while, and the time of harvest shall come for her. Nebuchadrezzar the king of Babylon hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath, like a monster, swallowed me up. He hath filled his maw with my delicacies. He hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say. And my blood be upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, shall Jerusalem say. Therefore thus saith Jehovah, Behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her fountain dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for jackals, an astonishment, and a hissing without inhabitant. They shall roar together like young lions, they shall growl as lions' whelps. When they are heated I will make their feast, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice, and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith Jehovah. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. How is Shishak taken, and the praise of the whole earth seized? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are become a desolation, a dry land, and a desert, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will execute judgment upon Bel in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and save yourselves every man from the fierce anger of Jehovah, and let not your heart faint, neither fear ye for the tidings that shall be heard in the land. For tidings shall come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come tidings, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will execute judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heavens and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for joy over Babylon, for the destroyers shall come unto her from the north, saith Jehovah. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the land. Ye that have escaped the sword, go ye, stand not still, remember Jehovah from afar, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Confusion hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of Jehovah's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will execute judgment upon her graven images. And through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall destroyers come unto her, saith Jehovah. The sound of a cry from Babylon, and of great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans. For Jehovah layeth Babylon waste, and destroyeth out of her the great voice, and their waves roar like many waters. The noise of their voice is uttered. For the destroyer is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Their bows are broken in pieces. For Jehovah is a God of recompenses. He will surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men, her governors and her deputies, and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is Jehovah of hosts. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly overthrown, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the peoples shall labor for vanity, and the nations for the fire, and they shall be weary. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah the son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah to Babylon, in the 4th year of his reign. Now Seraiah was chief chamberlain, and Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written concerning Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, when thou comest to Babylon, then see that thou read all these words, and say, O Jehovah, thou hast spoken concerning this place, to cut it off, that none shall dwell therein, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise again because of the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. End of chapter 51. Chapter 52. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of Jehovah did it come to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence. And Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadrezzar king of Babylon came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and encamped against it. And they built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah. In the 4th month, in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then a breach was made in the city, and all the men of war fled, and went forth out of the city by night, by the way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were against the city round about, and they went toward the Arabah. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king, and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then they took the king, and carried him up unto the king of Babylon to Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. And he put out the eyes of Zedekiah. And the king of Babylon bound him in fetters, and carried him to Babylon, and put him in prison, till the day of his death. Now in the 5th month, in the 10th day of the month, which was the 19th year of King Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, came Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, who stood before the king of Babylon, into Jerusalem. And he burned the house of Jehovah, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, even every great house, burned he with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans that were with the captain of the guard brake down all the walls of Jerusalem round about. Then Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the poorest of the people, and the residue of the people that were left in the city, and those that fell away, that fell to the king of Babylon, and the residue of the multitude. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left of the poorest of the land to be vine-dressers and husbandmen. And the pillars of brass that were in the house of Jehovah, and the bases and the brazen sea that were in the house of Jehovah, did the Chaldeans break in pieces, and carried all the brass of them to Babylon. The pots also, and the shovels, and the snuffers, and the basins, and the spoons, and all the vessels of brass wherewith they ministered, took they away. And the cups, and the firepans, and the basins, and the pots, and the candlesticks, and the spoons, and the bowls, that which was of gold, in gold, and that which was of silver, in silver, the captain of the guard took away. The 2 pillars, the 1 sea, and the 12 brazen bulls that were under the bases, which King Solomon had made for the house of Jehovah, the brass of all these vessels was without weight. And as for the pillars, the height of the 1 pillar was 18 cubits, and a line of 12 cubits did compass it, and the thickness thereof was 4 fingers. It was hollow. And a capital of brass was upon it, and the height of the 1 capital was 5 cubits, with network and pomegranates upon the capital round about, all of brass. And the 2nd pillar also had like unto these, and pomegranates. And there were 96 pomegranates on the sides. All the pomegranates were 100 upon the network round about. And the captain of the guard took Seraiah the chief priest, and Zephaniah the 2nd priest, and the 3 keepers of the threshold. And out of the city he took an officer that was set over the men of war, and 7 men of them that saw the king's face, that were found in the city. And the scribe of the captain of the host, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land, that were found in the midst of the city. And Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them, and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah. And the king of Babylon smote them, and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So Judah was carried away captive out of his land. This is the people whom Nebuchadrezzar carried away captive. In the 7th year 3,000 Jews and 23. In the 18th year of Nebuchadrezzar he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons. In the 23 year of Nebuchadrezzar, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons. All the persons were 4,600. And it came to pass in the 37th year of the captivity of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, in the 12th month, in the 25th day of the month, that Evil Merodach, king of Babylon, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and brought him forth out of prison. And he spake kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the kings that were with him in Babylon, and changed his prison garments. And Jehoiakim did eat bread before him continually all the days of his life. And for his allowance there was a continual allowance given him by the king of Babylon, every day a portion until the day of his death, all the days of his life. End of chapter 52.